Today, we're going to take a stroll through a hidden gold mine of London rock history.
Whether you do a self-tour or a guided London rock tour, you're likely to see the more popular sites like Abbey Road, Soho, and Camden. But if you go a little further out to West London, you'll be shocked at the number of fantastic sites in a relatively small area. I'll show you those spots today. Then, stay tuned to the end of the video for a spot that nobody knows about.
A great place to start our rock tour is the Troubadour in Earl's Court.
This was the center of London's 1960s folk scene. You'll feel the history of the greats who played and hung out here like Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix. The performance space in the basement oozes history and the food is quite good. Now on to a place that holds my most treasured London memory.
This is the site of the former Earl's Court Exhibition Center. It was one of the most famous concert venues in the world.
So many great bands have played here. And in 1996, I was in London for business, and I got to see The Who here. I didn't even know they were playing until 3 hours before the show, and it was the best concert I've ever been to. After a short walk north, we find ourselves on Logan Place, and our first of many rock star homes.
Behind this wall is the former home of Freddie Mercury. Freddie sadly passed in 1991, and he left the house to his longtime friend, Mary Austin.
Mary recently put the house on the market. It's yours if you have 38 million quid to throw around. Our next stop is homes owned by two world-famous neighbors who absolutely hate each other. Here on Melbury Road, you'll see a blue plaque for Colin Hunter. But who gives a rat's That's Jimmy Page's house. Page purchased the landmark property called the Tower House from actor Richard Harris for £350,000 in 1972, outbidding David Bowie. The house is a real standout. It's one of the best looking houses in London. Only problem? His neighbor, Robbie Williams.
Williams bought the house in 2013 and he wanted to put a pool in this basement, but Jimmy was afraid that his foundation would be affected, so he took him to court for a cease and desist. Ever since then, they've been at each other's throats.
Williams famously would mock Page by dressing like an old man and playing loud metal music. What a disrespectful way to treat a rock god. One reason this area is so popular for celebrities is the beautiful Holland Park. Outside the north entrance of the park is the road called Holland Park. This is sometimes called Millionaire's Row, and you can see why.
On this street, you'll find London's ultimate power couple. David and Victoria Beckham live right behind me.
This £31 million mansion is the Beckham's primary residence. It has 6 bedrooms, an indoor pool, and a Spice Girl. Oh, and Richard Branson's former house is across the street. Crossing Holland Park Avenue, we can walk a little ways to Queensdale Place to find Elton John's Holland Park home. This is one of Elton's many worldwide properties, and it's where he spent his time during the 2020 pandemic.
As we head up Holland Park Road, we get to the southeast corner of Notting Hill, which is more than just a bookstore and antique shops. You'll see.
It's not Salisbury Hill, but it is Peter Gabriel's house.
You wouldn't believe this, but I just missed the opportunity of a lifetime. As I was approaching, Peter was going into his house, and I stopped him. I told him I was a big fan, and he just went inside before he could take a picture with me.
Speaking of 80s stars, here's where Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics used to live. She sold this beauty of a mansion in 2013 for £12 million. She lives in Hollywood now. What's a Starstruck by London video without a London album cover location? This is the Portobello Hotel. After a day of shooting Carly Simon in different locations, the photographer took a candid shot of her as she made her way back to the hotel. And that's the shot they used for No Secrets, the album with the classic hit, You're So Vain.
There are many Jimi Hendrix sites in London, but this is probably the most notorious. This is the Samarkand Hotel, where in 1970, Jimi Hendrix died and joined the 27 Club.
This was the last picture taken of Jimi by his girlfriend Monika Dannemann at the hotel. Now we're going to head on over to the last stop.
As promised, here's a bonus location to end the tour. This is the former home of Sarm West Studios. Yes, Trevor Horn owned the studio, which hosted an incredible list of recording artists over the years. But it's best known as the studio that Band Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas was recorded. Sadly, it was closed in 2013, but you can recognize the street shots from the beginning of the Band Aid video where the singers were arriving.
And here's a picture taken of Paul Weller arriving on Basin Street. All this rock history was almost too much to take in just one day.
I hope you enjoyed this tour of London's hidden rock and roll gems. I highly recommend you take a day to retrace these steps and see the incredible sights yourself, whether you live in London or you're visiting. It's a great walk. I'll put a link to the map of the route in the description, and thank you for watching. If you got something out of this, please like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate it. Cheers.